God give to you in the light of this day. Gather us in the lost and forsaken, gather us in the blind and the lame. Call to us now and we shall awaken, we shall arise at the sound of our name. We are the young, our lives are a mystery. We are the old who yearn for your face. We have been sung throughout all of history, called to be light to the whole human race. Gather us in the rich and the hearty, gather us in the proud and the strong. Give us a heart so meek and so lowly, give us the courage to enter the song. Not in the dark of buildings confining, not in some heaven light years away, but here in this place a new light is shining. Now is the kingdom, now is the day. Gather us in and hold us forever, gather us in and make us your own. Gather us in, all peoples together, fire of love in our flesh and our bone.
I just want to thank Corral for singing that song, because, I mean, listen to these words. Here in this place, new light is streaming. See in this space our fears and our dreamings. Call to us now and we will awaken, called to be light to the whole human race. Call us anew to be salt to the earth. Lives that are holy and hearts that are true. Not in some heaven light years away, but here, in this place, the new light is shining. And I believe every word of that. Even now, even when so many people are living in fear, researchers in universities are living in fear. Day laborers outside a Home Depot are living in fear. People posting on their own social media accounts are living in fear. People who look Hispanic and speak Spanish. Transgender people, of course, I've mentioned. Politicians and public speakers. People are living in fear in America today. We're being divided into friends and enemies, into good and evil. And both sides think the other side is destroying our country. So why then, you would ask, do I feel that here in this place a new light is streaming? Well, here's why. Friends, we live in a nation that was once described by the great poet Walt Whitman as to be formed from all with room for all. Right here this morning, we are a reflection of that vision, of that promise. People of many kinds, many beliefs and disbeliefs together in our humanity, in our fears, in our dreams. The architects of this nation, they had a vision. They set us on a mission as a country to be a light, to be a beacon to the world. The foundation of this light is articulated to be the promise of freedom and justice for all. It's a promise that we have a long way to get to. We haven't fully achieved by any means. And at times like this, it feels like we're going backwards. And yet, it is still a compelling vision that motivates the best that's within us. At the time of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Ben Franklin reminded his fellow signers, we must all hang together, or most assuredly, we will all hang separately. In these sentiments, we find a formative principle of our democracy. We need each other, and we're better together. United we stand, divided we fall. In a certain way, our country's more than just a nation. At its best, it's an orientation to hope. One that is rooted in a moral vision for humanity. What holds us together is more than a common language, like so many nations. It's more than the same religion, more than ethnicity or a shared cultural heritage. In fact, it's more than just our land and our borders. My late colleague, Forrest Church, and others have referred to what binds us together as citizens of the United States of America is a creed, by which he did not mean a religious creed, but rather a belief in the rights and dignity of every person for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As Dr. Church wrote in his book, The American Creed, he said, the preamble to the Declaration of Independence distills a mission, and it gives a charge to future generations like us. Sure enough, over the years, we've been a nation that's become made up of people of every nation. A nation of people of every nation. And what holds us together across all of our rich differences is a core hope. A hope in the possibility of freedom as a governing principle that can uplift not just us, but all of humanity. What makes this freedom about more than just self-interest, freedom, free to be me, is that it's rooted in the concept that's printed on the dollar bill. I have a picture of the dollar bill so you can see it. I know a lot of people don't carry bills around anymore, so I brought a picture for the young people. That's what dollar bills look like. I know we used to carry them around a lot. It's also on the quarter, the back of the quarter, that has an eagle on it, and it reads, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's a proclamation of the American ideal of pluralism, which means unity and diversity. Out of many, one. Many nations, many religions, many peoples, one. Now, diversity and difference is just a fact. That's just reality. That's everywhere. There's lots of difference, but pluralism is something that needs to be created, needs to be nurtured. Pluralism is when we have diversity and unity. Now, there are some who feel passionately that our nation ought to be united instead by a conservative Christian creed. Such people decry the notion of a religiously pluralistic nation because they reject the idea that there's more than one way to know God, or especially to even live without a concept of God. And it's not just in Tulsa, it's not just in the Bible Belt. This goes all the way up to the highest levels of all three branches of our federal government. Now, one of the moments in this 21st century America, when we saw a powerful representation of the American creed, e pluribus unum, was after the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. People in New York and all across the country came together to help each other and to honor our shared ideals as a nation. We even came together across our religious differences at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., people of all faiths, and in services throughout this country, including right here in Tulsa. But even then, not everyone appreciated this coming together of Americans across religion. You may recall the Missouri Synod Lutheran pastor who was defrocked for praying in the interfaith service at Shea Stadium in New York only days after the attack on the World Trade Centers and the Pentagon. Today we would say he was canceled. Now, in that time of fear and grief and national tragedy, there were calls to attack and deport and round up Muslim Americans. President George W. Bush, in the days following the attack, took time out to worship at an American Muslim mosque, to model to our country and to the world that we value religious pluralism and we honor our Muslim neighbors. He saw his role as the nation's leader to protect and to honor all Americans and to bring unity to our nation in a time of fear and conflict. Now, 5 months later, in a speech at Tsinghua University in China, President Bush said, "In a free society, diversity is not disorder, debate is not strife, and dissent is not revolution. A free society trusts its citizens," he said, "to seek greatness in themselves and in their country." These are the guiding principles upon which our nation was founded, and President Bush was articulating them. He also acknowledged that the United States has its share of problems, and that we have our faults, and that we're on a long journey towards achieving our ideals of equality and justice for all. And nonetheless, he continued, there's a reason our nation shines as a beacon of hope and opportunity. As Reverend Church explains, President Bush, like so many before him, was reciting the American creed. But as we sit here in the shadow of a very different response from our national leaders, why do I have a strong feeling that here in this place, a new light is streaming? Because one thing that makes All Souls different is that we not only are part of the religious diversity of America, but we also try to embody the ideals of e pluribus unum within our own walls. That means that we're not a religious community that houses only people who believe the same thing. Instead, we're a community that welcomes people of all different beliefs and those who question belief. Instead, we're a community that welcomes people from across different theologies, philosophies, and ways of understanding what is virtue. We welcome people. And in that sense, we're a microcosm of our entire nation because we embrace religious and theological pluralism within our own walls, within our own community that we're creating. Like the Statue of Liberty, we hold up a lamp to welcome people from many different backgrounds. And we truly welcome them, not asking anyone to leave their beliefs and leave their culture behind. That's why we have members who are Jewish and Christian and Buddhist and atheist and much more. And we have families that combine different belief systems. We have people who are still figuring out what they believe and what they don't believe. And all are welcome and all belong. Some are religious refugees who are fleeing unhospitable territory. Some are seekers looking for a new and greater truth. Some are people who've discovered that the best hope of peace in the world and in the human heart will not come from trying to convert the world to all believe and think alike, but requires us to learn how to live and to respect each other across our differences. In that way, this church, like our nation, represents a particular kind of hope for humanity. Out of many theologies and philosophies, we've created one community. Why is that important? Why would we even want to do such a thing? It's in part because our experience shows us that we're stronger together and we're weaker apart. But like a democratic nation, a democratic church is not always easy. Can we have a little family meeting here this morning? You probably know that All Souls is a religiously liberal congregation. I just spelled it out pretty well. But I hope that you also know that that's different from being a politically liberal congregation. This congregation does not espouse any particular political position or political party. In fact, the last Unitarian president that we had here in the United States, we've had 4 or 5, was Howard Taft. Howard Taft. He was also the last Unitarian Supreme Court justice that we've had. And he was religiously liberal, but politically he was quite conservative. In fact, All Souls here in Tulsa has always had a certain base of beloved and consequential members who are politically conservative and religiously liberal. And I know that that makes us stronger and healthier and a better congregation. Now, that being said, it's no secret that our membership leans heavily to the left politically. So I want to have an honest conversation this morning about how people with a progressive worldview might show up a little differently in this moment for our nation. You know, there's that expression when someone says what they're doing and is kind of banging their head against the wall, and you go, how's that working for you? Maybe it's time to try something new. That's what I want to talk about this morning. It's easy to talk about how the other side, whatever the other side is to you, what they're doing wrong, and to be angry at them and to live in fear of them, quote unquote, the other, the people who think and vote and believe differently. Science writer Matthew Hudson explained in an article in Politico a few years ago. The article was titled, "Why Liberals Aren't as Tolerant as They Think." In it, he reviewed the research that examined who's more prejudiced, conservatives or liberals, the religious or the non-religious. The findings of the research confirmed that conservatives, liberals, religious and non-religious people are each prejudiced against those with opposing views. More surprisingly, that each group is about equally prejudiced. He says, liberals might think of themselves as more open-minded, true, yet they are no more tolerant of people unlike them than their conservative counterparts. Now, before you get mad at me, or the researchers, let's look into this idea of tolerance for a moment. In Slate magazine, Scott Alexander used a contemporary Buddhist story to make this point. He says, an emperor summons before him the Bodhidharma, the wisest living Buddha. And he asks, Master, I have been tolerant of innumerable gays, lesbians, bisexuals, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, transgender people, and Jews. How many virtue points have I earned for my meritorious behavior? And the Bodhidharma answers, none at all. The emperor, somewhat put out by this answer, demands to know why. And the Bodhidharma asks, well, what do you think of gay people? And the emperor answers, what do you think I am? Some kind of homophobic bigot? Of course, I have nothing against gay people or Jews or African Americans or Asians or any of those people I mentioned. And the Bodhidharma answered, well, thus you gain no merit for tolerating them. You've mistaken tolerance for acceptance. The word tolerance implies that there's something to tolerate. There's something that you don't like or can't stand about the one you are tolerating. Alexander's definition of true tolerance is offering respect and kindness to members of an out group. Not respect and kindness towards people that you accept just because those people are considered by others to be an out group. If you don't see them that way, then you're not tolerating them, you already accept them. Tolerance is about respect and kindness towards people who are out of your group, by the way you define it. Now, this may be one of the biggest things that liberals tend to get wrong about tolerance. It doesn't make you or me tolerant because we accept people who other people reject. What makes us tolerant is when we tolerate someone that we do not accept how they think and how they believe. For example, especially because I have an African American daughter and I come from a Jewish heritage, it is very personal to my family, and I have trouble accepting white supremacists and anti-Semites. But can I tolerate them having the same rights to life, liberty, and happiness as me? Whew. That means free speech. That means freedom to assemble. In other words, can I live and give them the right to be wrong and still belong together in one nation or community? This is where tolerance and diversity become really difficult. And this is where liberals sometimes fail. One of the most profound requirements of the American creed is, can you offer kindness and dignity to the person who to you has the wrong color hat, the wrong bumper stickers on their car, or the wrong view on an issue that you're passionate about and that impacts you? We say tolerance is a low bar, and it is. But if you're like me, I can barely get there sometimes. Especially when the person that I need to tolerate rejects my personhood because I'm Jewish, or my father, or my daughter's full equality because she's black. But I'm reminded that the instruction in life, the golden rule that says love your neighbors as yourself in every religion and every tradition in different ways, in the Christian Bible of that, Jesus, who regardless of whether you believe or don't believe or care what the Bible says, it says, don't just love your neighbor. He said, love your enemies. He didn't just say, love the people who love you back. We already do that. That's easy. He said, love the ones who hate you and want to destroy you, your enemies. Whew. And that's probably why there aren't that many saints. Because it's a high demand. It's a high call. No question about it. That we call this All Souls Church, not All Saints Church. I'm not good enough to be the minister of All Saints Church. If you all were saints, I couldn't do that. But what if we could rise in all our humanity to a higher love, just a notch above how loving we've been? Not just the common love of loving those who love us. When George Floyd was murdered, Many on the other side of the political aisle from me said horrible things that lacked any and all compassion. I was appalled. I'm still mad. I don't care what they thought of him. Our nation and I and people I love were in shock and were in grief and were enraged and were fearful. Couldn't they have at least shown me a little compassion in that moment? And yet, when Charlie Kirk died, was killed, I immediately started seeing posts online, really harsh things. Mean, careless, even cruel. Now, I'm not trying to argue that these are the same, they're totally equivalent and all that kind of thing. We could talk about all that. That's a debate for another day. I'm just trying to share what I saw and what I felt. Looking back over the past 10 days or so, I realized that my conservative neighbors are grieving. And you and I, we know something about grief. And I wonder, what if I had done something differently? Something human. Something that might have actually broken through this intractable division that we're living in rather than making it worse. What if I had baked some muffins and brought them over? Or picked some flowers from my garden, tied them together with a little string, and left them with a card? Or even just sent a short text that said, "Thinking of you, how are you doing?" Because the truth is, they're grieving. They were grieving, and they probably still are, and sad, and enraged, and scared like us of more political violence. And on top of that, to watch someone who they care about being mocked after his death, that had to cut deep. I can't forget how I felt when George Floyd was killed, and how awful it was when people dismissed his life and made light of his death. Their carelessness didn't just hurt, it made me bitter. It deepened the divide. It stirred up hate inside me. But I also imagine if in that moment I had received a gentle text or a neighborly gesture, especially from someone who I knew didn't share my views, that would have stayed with me. That would have made a lasting impression in our relationship. I think we as a nation are at a turning point. We don't know, is it going to be a good turning point or a bad turning point? But we have the freedom to choose our reaction in this moment. And it's going to take something new. We need to ask ourselves, am I part of the problem or the solution? And if we're not willing to talk to the other side, if we're not willing to critique our own side's mistakes or cruelties, but only see our side as all good, we're the good ones, and their side is all bad, they're the bad ones, they're the ones causing the problem, then I can tell you we're part of the problem, not the solution. I'm suggesting that we try our darndest to love our enemies. At least our neighbors and co-workers. I'm not asking you to like them. That'd be a lot to ask. I'm just asking you to offer some love. I realize this isn't easy, and I understand if you just can't do it right now in this situation. I get it. But for those of us who can, or those of us who want to try, This is a reminder, an invitation. We may not be able to change the whole nation. We can't. Let's be serious. But we can change our neighborhoods and our workplaces and communities. And if we each do that, then maybe the nation changes too. Other things we might do: surround yourself with positive people doing good things. Find people that are trying to rise above the status quo of back and forth that we're seeing all over social media and the media. People who are trying to respond with a higher love to get us out of the cycle. Make sure that you're finding people to be around who are different from yourself so that you're not living in a bubble. It's hard. But then you'll be able to see those who are other as human, even if they vote or think differently. But more importantly to the cause, perhaps, is they'll be able to see that you're human, that you care, that you've got dignity and love beyond belief. Finally, be careful of social media algorithms. They are created to be addictive by tapping into our instincts for fear and rage. Spend less time online. Friends, our country, our city, and our world is becoming more diverse. And we either need to learn to live together as friends or perish separately as fools. Indeed, it's not always easy, it's not comfortable, but if we can continue to do it here, right here, within the community of All Souls, then we may help to create an example for others. We certainly know that we need more models of coming together right now. So I'm thankful for this congregation, that it allows us to maintain our unique individuality, but also brings us together as one community. We have it as long as we can keep it. Not in some heaven light years away, but here, in this place, that light is shining. May it help us to find a higher love. I love you.